Hi, welcome back to Family Friendly Garage. Today what we're going to do is we're going to put new rear main bearing seals in a Ford 1800 series industrial tractor engine, but we're going to do things a little bit different. We're actually going to put those seals in while the engine is still installed in the tractor. Now a lot of cases people will be putting rear main bearing seals in during an engine rebuild, but a lot of times you might have a seal problem in the rear main and your tractor doesn't need an engine rebuild. And of course, it's a pain to pull the engine out. So it is possible to put the seals in the engine while the engine is installed. I'll show you that procedure and why it's possible to do it on this particular model. This procedure will work for the Ford 600, 800, 900, of course the 1800 series, and the 2000 and 4000 series engines, so long as it's got the 4-cylinder engine. And this procedure will work for both the gas and the diesel engines. So let's get started. All right, I got the oil plug pulled down, so I'm draining the pan now, and you'll notice right up in here there's it's a piece of screen, and it's not attached to anything up in the block. It actually kind of sits down over the threads of this plug here, so you can kind of take the plug out and just be aware that screen's in there. Now the pan bolts are 1/2 inch most of the way around, but up at the very front, at least on my tractor, are 2 9/16. I don't know if those are original or not. They actually don't look like it, so maybe maybe yours will be 1/2 inch all the way around, but mine's got a 1/2 inch all the way around except for those two front, which are 9/16. All right, now that the pan's down, you can see the rear main bearing cap. And the reason you can change the rear main in this engine is this bearing cap here is actually part of the back of the engine block. Okay, so it seals right here and right here all the way up the side, and then where the lower bearing cap bolts up into the back of the engine block, it's going to seal across the top, and then you actually have two seals that go around the crankshaft themselves. Okay, now I suspect in my case, since this is the second time I've done this, I went ahead and took this out a couple weeks ago, and I just put in the seals around the crankshaft, and I put it right back in because this all looked okay to me, and I put a little RTV in it, a little red RTV, and I thought, well, that'd be enough, and I cranked it up, and nothing leaked for about the first 15 or 20 minutes. And then when I put the machine to work, it started puking oil again. So I'm going to really spend more time making sure I get this resealed. I'm going to pull out these old seals and redo them from scratch. But anyway, you can see here this design that once you unbolt these, this is a 3/4 inch. I'm going to use a 6-point socket on it and unbolt that, and then we'll pull this out, and then you can take a look at what it looks like on the inside. Alright, in order to get that rear main seal out, I hope this comes out in the video, I'm just going to take a little punch. I'm just going to get on the back side of one side of it. It really doesn't matter which side you're on. And I'm just going to try to push on one side. There, you can see it's coming out right there. I hope it's in focus. Okay, and once it starts coming out there, then you can just reach up in here and get like a pair of pliers on it or something gently and just go ahead and pull it on out. I bought these parts from yesterday's tractor, but as you can see in the parts kit they sent me for the rear main seal, it's a Felpro part number BS6141-3, and then there's a couple different pieces in there. There's the P6141-1, which was in the kit, and then doesn't look like there's a part number on this, but you can see when you buy this Felpro kit, it comes with instructions on how to put the rear main seals in, and then it also comes with some instructions on how to use these side seals, which will make more sense once I get it apart and show you what it all looks like. So here's the rear main seal sitting on its side. You can see it's got the where it kind of seals up against the block is there on the side. Let me tip this down here. Here's the back of the main bearing, and then your rear main seal that goes on the back of the crankshaft here is right here. Now there's a oil like an oil passage here where after oil gets past that rear main bearing, you can see mine's got a little bit of wear to it, which is concerning. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on it. After the oil gets past that main bearing, it goes down into this first channel right there. That first channel, it's kind of hard to tell here. It's got a hole in it, and that hole comes out right there and basically drains any oil that gets past your bearing there, your bearing cap, if you will. It's going to drain back into the pan, engine oil pan. So anyway, there's the side seals right there, and you got the rear main seal there, and then you got another side seal right there. You walk back over here and let you take a look at the inside of the block. Sorry, it's bouncy. There's that rear main seal pulled out of the inside of the block there, so you can see it's got a seal here, as well as it's got a seal here, and then it's going to have to seal up where that main bearing cap rides as well. So a lot of places for this thing to leak into the back. Well, let's go ahead and change it out and see if we can get it to quit leaking. I may have found the problem with why mine was leaking. You'll see this is the side seal right here. And this particular seal didn't really have any, it just sits in there, right? And when you get the replacement seal, pick this up here from Felpro, so it's going to sit in there like this, but on the back side of that seal is a channel. And what you do is you set that seal in there like that, and then you drive this little pin in there behind it, and that's going to force that seal up into the side of the block, kind of up this direction here, up into the side of the block, to help it seal. So it's basically got a, you know, something to kind of put pressure on it a little bit there. So hopefully, maybe that's why mine was leaking. It didn't have anything really holding that side seal up in place. So anyway, we'll give it a try and see what happens. All right, so you got to be really careful when you roll these seals back in, okay? So the idea is you put it up in here, right, like that. And I may not be able to get this to focus, but then you put it up here against this thing, and then you can kind of roll it up in there and just kind of push it around. What the problem is that this area right here is really sharp, and if you're not careful, when you put these seals in, you will actually, let me back up a little bit so that focus, you will actually tear the top part of that seal off. And what it does is not only does it seal against the crankshaft here, but it actually seals back here too inside that channel. Okay, so you could get oil that slips past, but it can actually go down and under and out that way. So you got to be really, really careful that you don't wreck especially this upper seal, because that's the one that you know, you have to work around the crankshaft to get it in there. And when I did it the first time, basically I stuck it up in there, and then I just pushed with my finger like this way up against the crankshaft, and then I slowly like push, and I just worked it in like that. And you could do that without tearing it up. Now I actually tore this one up taking it out, because I'm going to put a new one in anyway. This is a China seal, and I'm putting in some decent Felpro seals, which probably also made in China. But anyway, so anyway, you got to really be careful right on that lip right up there. Let's see if I get my camera here. Right there is really, really sharp. And actually, in this Felpro kit, they actually give you a little tool to help you not tear those up when you're putting them back in. I'll show you. Okay, so in the Felpro kit, they got this little tool right there that's supposed to slip right here, like almost like a shoehorn, right? You stick it in right here, so this sharp edge doesn't cut the seal as you roll that seal into the block, right? Again, the way you get around that crankshaft when you're in your upper seal is you put it up against the crankshaft, then you just got to roll it down into that channel. Well, that little piece right there can cut the seal when you put it in, like that one, okay? So you want to have one of these little shoehorn kits in there, and you'll just slip that shoehorn in there, right there. As you slide it in, it won't let that let that sharp edge cut it. You don't really want to go in and grind around on that too much, because you could create a leak point if you did that. So anyway, pretty nice that they put that in the kit. Alright, so the Felpro seals, I could tell already unpackaging them, they are way better quality than the China knockoffs. But the way it's going to work is you're going to take, let's see if I can get it to come into focus here. You're going to take that lip seal there. You can see how the seal has got a kind of a different shape. Let me see if I can get this to focus. See how that seal's got a shape there to it. You're going to put that that sealing portion toward the front. This is going to drop in there like that. So that little piece of seal right here is going to go toward the front. If you can see the way it's got that extra lip right there. One thing I forgot to mention is you want to oil this seal up before you put it in. Okay, so either get your good pair of clean gloves if you're going to wear gloves, or just oil that side up real good. Alright, so I got the upper main seal in, and I did not use any high temp gasket maker on the upper seal that's in the block. I am going to put a little bit in the lower, just down in this channel ever so slightly to help that backside seal a little bit. The reason I didn't put it in the upper is, one, it'd be really difficult to get it all the way around because that crankshaft's in the way, again, because I'm doing this with the block in the tractor. But secondly, I didn't really want anything inside that channel that would make it harder to roll that seal out if I were to have to change this again, which hopefully I won't have to do in my lifetime. But anyway, you never know. So, but I'm going to put just a little bit here in the lower, because obviously you can take the lower out and you can dig in there and pry that out without any trouble, so it won't hurt anything there. I'm going to put a little bit, just a real thin layer up in here. Just try to make sure nothing seals up in here. I'm not going to put too much because I don't want it to get in here and clog this channel up where oil's supposed to be draining back into the oil pan. And then I'll put some along up in here a little bit after I get that. Actually, I'll put it in here, slide it up in there, and then push that seal up all the way in there, and then hammer that pin in. One more quick note: it says on the instructions for doing these seals that seal up against the crankshaft that you're supposed to offset this just a little bit. Now I've got this way offset just so you can get the idea of what they're saying. It says you should offset these 3/8 of an inch to help it kind of seal better. In other words, the seal that's in the upper main would actually come down into this channel a little bit down here, 3/8 of an inch, and this one would stick up 3/8 of an inch. Okay, and I know that's way more than that, but I just wanted you to get the idea here. I'm not going to do that because if I do that with the engine in the block, okay, I'm sorry, with the engine in the tractor, and I go to push the seal up here, what could happen is I could cut the back of this seal that's offset a little bit on that chamfer up in there that's actually in the block. Okay, again, that's what that shoehorn is for that they give you in the kit, is so you don't tear this seal up. I'm sorry, it's a little blurry. You don't tear the seal up when you're going past this little ledge right here. Okay, so I'm afraid that if I were to offset this, the 3/8 of an inch that it says to do that in the instructions, that I could actually shave the back of this seal off and actually create a leak point. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this seal flush, and I'm just going to put a little red RTV gasket maker. This stuff goes up to like 650 degrees. I'm just going to put a little red in there on top of those seals to kind of seal that a little bit. So I'm not going to follow the instructions exactly, but again, I'm doing that for a specific reason. I do not want to shave the back of this thing when I stick this back up into the block. If you had this out on an engine stand and you had the block upside down and you had you set the crank in, you could probably take your time and make sure that you don't shave it when you put it in there, but I'm not going to take that chance. All right, I got the rear main back in it, and I pushed up those side seals, and then it says you take these and you stick them in behind the back of those side seals, and then you take a hammer and you go ahead and tap them up in there. These bolts are supposed to be in just hand tight while you do this. Okay, so you put it up in, hand tighten the bolts, and then put these up in there. And then once those are in there, then you go ahead and torque it down all the way according to the instructions. All right, so once I got the pan back on and all buttoned up, the whole job took about 4.5 hours. and I probably spent at least an hour scraping off some of the old RTV that was on the oil pan. So it's probably about a 3.5 hour job if you got the right gaskets. So it doesn't really take too long to do.